Our breaking news, the Washington Post is reporting that special counsel Robert Mueller is investigating President Trump. Joining me now, CNN presidential historian Douglas Brinkley, the author of Rightful Heritage, Franklin D. Roosevelt and the Land of America, senior political reporter Nia Malika Henderson, and Jack Kingston, a former senior advisor to the Trump campaign. I'm so glad to have all of you on this evening. Nia, I'm going to start with you. Why did I call you Nina every time? I don't know why. Nia, I'm going to start with you. The President of the United States under investigation for obstruction. That's, again, the Washington Post is reporting that. Let's just stop for a minute because this reporting is accurate. It's a really big deal. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, it is a big deal, and in many ways not surprising. I mean, if you flash back to the testimony we heard last week from Jim Comey, the testimony we heard the week before from D&I Coates and Admiral Rogers at the NSA, it isn't surprising. Comey seemed to hint that he thought there was something inappropriate about his conversations with Donald Trump. He felt that Donald Trump was directing him to lay off Flynn, to possibly drop the Russia investigation. He also said that there was interest in his memos based on his interactions with Donald Trump, interest in his memos from the special counsel Bob Mueller. So I think the takeaway from Comey's testimony last week was that Donald Trump was not under investigation due to any sort of possible Russia collusion, and that's what Comey testified to, and that's what Trump's personal lawyer said as well. But out of that, it was clear that they were going to look into, or Bob Mueller, into possible obstruction of justice. So that's where we find ourselves now, with some pushback from the White House saying that it's really about the leaks.
And that's what the Post is reporting again, because as I read just the segment before you to John Dean, it said Trump had received private assurances from the FBI Director James Comey, stating that in January he was not personally under investigation, but officials say that changed shortly after Comey's firing. So, Douglas, maybe he wasn't then, but he apparently is now. Is that a result of his own actions, if so?
Absolutely. He wasn't then, it is now, and it's because of the Comey affair that we've all been talking about. You know, this is a very big moment tonight. It's been a very subdued day because of Alexandria shooting. Donald Trump's been perfect. He's going to the hospital there this evening and the rest, but this is really means that this cloud is not clearing up for Donald Trump, and it gives the Mueller report, more credence to keep that investigation going. He's being really investigated now on 3 different fronts, Trump. So the Washington Post had quite a scoop this evening.
Yeah. Jack, a spokesman for President Trump's attorney, Mark Kasowitz, said in response to the Washington Post report, and Nia pointed this out, there's pushback from them. The FBI leak of information regarding the president is outrageous, inexcusable, and illegal. But you know what the statement doesn't do? It doesn't deny the reporting, Jack.
You know, well, I still think it's outrageous. Number one, it shows the FBI is continuing to leak information that's damaging to the president, that's been going on all along. As Marco Rubio pointed out, the only thing that wasn't linked was that the president was never under investigation. Now, if that's changed now, it's still contrary to the testimony of James Comey, Mr. Brennan, and Mr. McCabe, and they've had plenty of opportunities to report obstruction. But also, Don, if this is going to be the case, what about Loretta Lynch? Because James Comey clearly threw her under the bus last week. And so, you know, this is a pivot. And it would appear to me that this is going to be, if it becomes a whitewater, you don't know where it ends up, but Loretta Lynch would certainly be under investigation by this standard. So, you know, the whole thing's got me really scratching my head. We found out recently that 3 of the key lawyers gave a total of $56,000 to Hillary Clinton, and yet that's supposed to be, oh, no, there's no problem there, but suddenly now they're aiming their guns at the man
Jack,
that they
with all
tried
due
to keep out of
respect,
office.
it's straight from the talking points of the White House, and we're discussing
and it's
the
accurate,
reporting
Don.
tonight. I know, but
Don,
we're talking about the
but
reporting tonight, but you're giving us talking points.
No, Don, I'm not. And I know every time that somebody from Trump gets on the air, the opposition always says, oh, you're going reciting talking points.
But they are literally the talking points from the White House.
Well, actually, I can look you in the camera and say I haven't seen any talking points from the White House. I actually learned about the $56,000 tonight at a dinner that I was having with a Republican staffer who was telling me about it, because I had not been following about it. You know, I played on the congressional baseball team with Steve Scalise for about 10 years, and so
I wanted to talk to you about that. But so, Yes, good. So let's move on because I want to get that in. Let's move on now and talk about the issue of what happened today. And Nia, I want to get your response to that. It's awful what happened today, and many are wondering if this is considering the toxic environment when it comes to politics in Washington and around the country, if this might be a moment for people to come together and realize that we're all Americans and we're all on the same team, regardless of an R or D or an I.
You know, I think we'll have a significant moment tomorrow. The baseball game will go on. Donald Trump won't be there. It would be probably a security nightmare, even more so if he was there. But I think it'll be a real significant moment, and those Congress folks will get out there, and the fans, and it'll be a moment. But I think beyond that, I mean, there's significant differences between Republicans and Democrats in terms of policy, and I don't think that's going to change. Perhaps there'll be a cooling off in terms of political rhetoric, and that might be a good thing in terms of engagement.
I've got to get through this quickly. Yeah, and I want to make sure, Douglas, I know that you're a huge baseball fan and you feel strongly, but I want to go back to Jack, because Jack, I know you played on that team for 15 years. What were your thoughts today?
I can't tell you how sad this is. Those were some of the most wonderful moments of my entire career, and I think most people would say that, Democrats and Republicans. The athletes in Congress, and I'll say that marginally, that I'm an athlete, but the guys who are out there trying, like I was, we become very close to each other. I'll give you an example. Jared Paulus, who never votes with me, but he and I became great friends over baseball. When I go to Colorado, I often call him. Sometimes I've gone out and played baseball with him in Colorado. That's how important this game is. It's not just a charity fundraiser. It does bring people together. It bridges the gap, and then you can solve problems together. But I can tell you that the Democrats and the Republicans, who will be battling it out tomorrow night very fiercely, they still become very close friends at the end of this process. And it's just one of those great lasting sanctuaries in Congress. And I'd say that for the gym and the Bible studies, and there's a lot of examples of bipartisanship.
I hate to cut you off, but we just don't have the time tonight. But thank you, Jack. Sorry about your colleagues, and let's hope they raise lots of money tomorrow and that a lot of people come out for that. Thank you so much. Up next, more on the shooting. We're going to see what investigators are looking for.